Okay, who is ready for hard truths and tough love, leadership through challenging times? You guys ready? This next session is from the Business and Trends track, powered by Monogram. Who's been to the Monogram booth? Has anyone been? Have you? It's fabulous, right? It's amazing. Okay, please join me in watching this fabulous video.
Luxury is exceptional experiences, exquisite materials, and revolutionary innovation that transcends into modern day. Monogram is redefining the world of luxury appliances and creating an ownership experience that is second to none. Monogram collaborates with some of the world's most respected design and culinary experts to create high-end products that embody the mark of luxury you can see and feel, because they need to be confident that not only will we continue to meet their expectations, but we will exceed them. At Monogram, we elevate everything.
Now, please help me welcome Jennifer Solomon Collins, Senior Brand Development Manager, Monogram, to the next stage.
Hello, KBIS. So excited to be here and talk to you all and get ready for an amazing panel. But before we do, just a quick couple of words on Monogram. So with Monogram, we have been spending a long time getting to better understand our owners and our consumers. And with that, they are always seeking inspiration. They're well-cultured, well-traveled, and kind of just want that everyday experience and awe, sort of like how I feel when I leave KBIS, right? That just a magical feeling. And so over the years, we have worked very, very hard to try to bring some of that awe-inspiring moments into the home and into the kitchen. And so with 3 distinct collections, we're able to integrate into our owners' homes and integrate into multiple variety of different designs. So we're very, very excited to talk through those. So first, we have our designer collection. This was launched a couple of years ago in partnership with Richard Aniszewicz and Keeler Brass. And so that brought the industry's first 96-inch panels in beautiful brass and titanium. We also worked with Keeler for beautiful hardware, green gold guard certified, leather-wrapped handles with intricate details, all inspired by jewelry. Then we have our minimalist collection. Minimalist is sleek, modern, lots of black glass and edgy handles that fit into a number of different urban settings. And last, we have our statement collection. This is your traditional, transitional vibe. You have your brass accents that really just bring Monogram to life. But with that, we want to get ready for our panel. So we all know that the industry has been on a roller coaster these last couple of years. A lot of highs and a lot of lows. And as we head into 2024, we have to accept the economic realities that we are facing today. But we can do that with a positive outlook and a way that we can focus on future-proofing our businesses so we can face all of these challenges head on. So who better to bring the topic of leadership through challenging times to life than these leaders that I'm honored to introduce momentarily. Led by business owner, coach, podcaster, the dynamic LuAnn Nigara, and learn from 2 other business owners, Garrison Hulliner, president and studio of Garrison, and Gina DeMore Bowerly, partner and lead designer of DeMore Interiors. And to kick off our panel and set the tone for today's business landscape, we have breaking news from Houzz. We have Marina here, who is the staff economist from Houzz, here to present brand new research and sit down to gain amazing insights with this wonderful group. So, Marina, I invite you to join the stage and get started.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you so much for choosing to be here today. As mentioned, my name is Marina Sargsyan, and I head the economic research at Houzz. It has been an incredible journey, and I'm so happy to share in the next 5 minutes what we have seen in 2023, discuss the outlook and the sentiment for 2024, as well as talk a little bit about the market fundamentals and how we think the economic conditions are potentially energizing the design and remodeling industry that you are all part of. So really quickly, I'm not going to sugarcoat this because you already know that 2023 was a very challenging year. It has had challenges going from cost of doing business, managing your customers' understanding of pricing and cost, being able to operate you guys as businesses, bringing in new clients and signing new projects have been very challenging as well. Labor shortages, that is a constant issue in our industry. This didn't only remain unchanged and remain a challenge, but also intensified during 2023. And we're seeing labor costs going up and up without any moderation in the future. Some regulations for the buildings have stayed on the way, but then also the national economy hasn't been as favorable as we would all like for it to be. Early indicators such as the Houzz remodeling barometer that I keep a close eye on and my team helps me put this together is showing some moderation in 2023. We're seeing that positive uptick for Q4 2023, even though the quarters leading to that are a little bit bumpy. So just to kind of give you an overview, 2023 was challenging, but there is some positive business activity happening in Q4 of 2023. This also is in parallel with the consumer sentiment that University of Michigan has been tracking. What they are showing is that the consumers are optimistic by the end of 2023 about the economic conditions as a whole, but then are also, I checked the number last for the January, it still holds, meaning that the 2023 activity has been a strong indicator for 2024 and going forward. So before I dive in for 2024 sentiment, I want to kind of leave you with this note about, yes, businesses in the design industry as well as consumers have had the challenges and they've seen those challenges, but Q4 kind of was this positive glimpse of business activity that consumers are seeing on their end as well as businesses are doing so. So the same indicator that we have been tracking since 2014, this is quarterly, trying to understand what's happening in the industry, shows that the backlogs are finally normalized, meaning that it only takes slightly over a month for a business like yours to start a new project. What this also shows is that some of the supply chain challenges might have moderated. But this is a good indicator that we are kind of back to normal as of the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024. The same indicator is also noting to this positive sentiment among the professionals in your industry. And the way they show this is that we have had those ups and downs in the sentiment, but then this quarter, Q1 2024 sentiment, is the third consecutive uptick in the expectations for the business activity. And this is amazing to see because this talks about the resilience and the ability to be able to weathering all the adversities that you've seen in 2023. So finally, I want to give you this fresh perspective from the very recent research that we published, noting that for the looking forward, the overall sentiment is positive, at least among 60 or more % of residential design industry professionals. And but then this is the optimist, but then I guess in a spirit of Vegas, how do you put your bets to be able to get that jackpot victory of your business? But then I would otherwise say, how do you make this optimism into realistic strategies? And some of the strategies that I hear that businesses tell us are being very selective about the projects that you bring in. You can be bringing in more bigger budget projects or bringing in special projects that you have specialized crew for, or being able to adjust your pricing strategy slightly more. I'm sure a lot of you have already done so, but this is also something going forward you might consider as you see the economic conditions unveiling. And finally, the third theme I'm seeing to emerge is being able to offer new products, new services, and it can be also expanding your service geographic areas, so going slightly further or winning businesses that are slightly outside of your geographic areas. Now to wrap up, I know we've talked a lot about 2023 being a really challenging year, 2024, but what is our understanding? How is this optimism, where is this optimism coming from, and how is this fueled? So a couple of the market fundamentals that I love going into are mortgage rates. So mortgage rates are at 6.6% as of February when I checked, and this is way above what we have seen back in 2021 or 2022 or even before that. What it means it deters homeowners to go and find that next home. And a lot of them want to upgrade, and a lot of them want to find a better home or match their current conditions. Going forward, we have aging housing stock. Well, does anyone know what the median age of a house in the US is? It's 42-year-old, slightly older than I am. But overall, we also have a 3.5 million homes in deficit, meaning that the demand is there, but we don't have the homes to meet that demand. And aging in place, homeowners are planning for the future. So they'll need to remodel their home. They'll need to design their home in a way to accommodate for their future needs. Home equity has been accumulating since prices have been appreciating, as well as homeowners have been paying for their mortgages a lot better and in more consistent ways than we have seen before when we had economic downturns. So home equity is also there. So what all of this does is kind of shows that the basics for the market are there to fuel this pent-up demand for residential remodel and design and home improvement activity in general. And this is why we think that the cautious optimism among designers and professionals like you is not just the resilience to weather the adversities that the economy is throwing at you, but then also the potential economic conditions that might be energizing the remodeling and design activity in the future. I'm going to stop here, but if you would like to learn more about the state of the industry or any research that I do, don't be shy and come and find me after the session or go to our research page that is here. But otherwise, thank you so much for your time, and I'm now so excited to introduce LuAnn Nigara, who will be moderating the next segment of our session. Thank you so much.
All righty. All right. Hello, how are you? That was amazing, Marina. That was amazing. I like that a lot. So question for you. How many people have been in business since 2017 where her slides started? Right? Did that feel like your heartbeat up there? It was like, bam, 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 bam. And 2020 was all the way in the basement. It was like, oh my God, I remember that. Do you remember like April, May of 2020? It was like, is this it? It's over? My business is done? So I love it. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. All right, thanks for coming today. Super excited to do this with you guys, the hard truths. Are you ready? I'm going to throw some fastballs at you. All right, Garrison, do me a favor. Introduce yourself, your name, your company, rank, serial number, all the things, okay?
I have a birthmark on my inner, no, sorry. My name's Garrison Hollinger. We have Studio Garrison in Portland, Oregon. I'm very fortunate that we do multiple disciplinary design with residential and also commercial and hospitality. Quickly, my background, I came from retail operations and developing new businesses and recreated this 14 years ago.
Love it, love it. Okay, and Gina, give us the deets.
The boss.
Sorry, I lost my voice last week, so I sound a little bit like a car trying to start.
That's because she was partying last night. It has nothing to do with last week.
I'm Gina DeMori-Bowerly. I'm based in Denver, Colorado. We have an 18,000 square foot retail furnishing showroom that's in the Denver Design District, and we're also a full service interior design firm. So we're kind of a hybrid of two different business structures, which is fun at times. We're a family business, so we've been around for 44 years, and my parents and my husband and I are all business partners.
Well, that sounds like so much fun, I was going to say.
Sometimes.
Dinner conversation.
I'm in that boat right now myself. So, all right, so we're going to talk about some hard truths here. First of all, to set the stage, I would love for you, Garrison, to tell us in your business, where is the profit center in your business?
Currently, it is in residential, so the luxury end of design, where we're trying to capture 10 to 14 projects a year.
Okay.
And we're doing full service. So the projects that we will take we'll have all-inclusive design that include from the remodel additions into furnishings, and we also staff architects on staff as well.
Okay, so and what's gross revenues of the firm?
Which year?
I was going to say
it's me sitting here, so just like you got, I'm going to ask you the things, right?
Yeah, so definitely a decline from pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So we were close to 10 million.
Okay.
We are definitely under 6 now.
Okay, so you know it's the perspective, right? This is the seasoned business owner that we're sitting in front of. When you run a ship that's $10 million, that says a whole lot to all of us sitting in the audience, and so that's why I like that perspective. Okay.
I hate saying it out, right? It's like
it hurts.
Well, but you know what? I mean, we're going to get into it, but that's exactly what happened. That's why it's this conversation, because what we all did in 2022 and then 23 was like a stomach punch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now your profit center is in the residential sector. Was it previously in somewhere else, or that's your main profit center always?
No, it was a complete flip. I mean, at the time in 2020, during the pandemic, before things really closed down for us, we had 17 individuals working on one hotel project.
Okay.
So our projects were very large in scope with hospitality and commercial, and we've consistently maintained a very small, intimate, very independent group of 3 to 4 individuals that do residential. And now I've had to kind of pull back in the support team.
Okay.
So now that there's 23 actual design individuals that are working on residential.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, so big switch.
Big switch.
Gina, you said that you have the retail furniture setup and you have the design. Is it luxury design that you're doing? Okay, full service?
Yes.
And how's the profit center set up? Which is which?
It's based on the sale of products that we carry in our showroom, but our design clients drive that because it's the 80-20 rule, but it's probably more like 90-10 for us, where our full service clients are the ones buying the majority of our products that result in our sales. So the design business drives our sales, but it's still the retail sales that bring us the most income.
Okay, so if the design business was not there, are we saying that the furniture retail business, it's most of its customers, its money is coming from the design business, and if that wasn't there, you'd have to go out and start a new marketing type of a
You're stressing me out right now.
Oh, okay.
That's what our business was. You know, when my parents started in 1980, they started at a flea market, and then we had enough money and had a store one day, and you know, it's just been building ever since, and I really wanted to touch on all parts of the project and not be involved after somebody else made a mistake, you know? But yeah, it's kind of scary to think that had we not shifted and grown with the direction that we felt we needed to go, that we probably wouldn't still be in business today.
Right.
Can't keep doing the same thing every year and stay a valid business.
Right.
You have to be willing to change.
So that's the thing, right? So we're talking about how you go from mostly commercial to mostly residential. But my question is, and this is what, like, if I said to you guys now, do you know where the profit center is in your business? How many people are raising their hands saying yes? Okay, that's not most of you unless you're being shy. Should we ask again? Do we know or not really know? Okay, so here's the thing, what I want you to know is, it's a funny story. I did this podcast interview maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago on do you know where the profit center is in your business? It's literally the topic of the show, and I go through it. And there was a luxury designer, Pam Cole, who is sitting there. I later learned, she emails me later. She's sitting there at 12 a.m. She's running a $2 million interior design firm. She's working at 12 a.m. She's exhausted. She's tired. She's like, what is it all about, Alfie? Like, why am I doing this, right? And I'm in her ear going, do you know where your money is? Do you know what makes you money? And so she then opens up her QuickBooks and she starts to run through furniture, design fees, blah, blah, blah. And what she notices, savvily, is that a word? Very savvy, she noticed, that window treatments was like $100K. When you're running a $2 million luxury firm, window treatments is $100,000 in one home.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so she has this light bulb moment that she's leaving money on the table. And she then went around and she joined Exciting Windows to learn how to do window treatments better. But over the next 6 months, over the next year, I should say, she sold $750,000 worth of window treatments to the same clients that were already coming through the door.
Yay.
She didn't do different advertising. She didn't do different marketing. She just paid attention. And so whether you have a $6 million business, a $5 million business, they have separate revenue streams. You might have a $500,000 business and you think it's one revenue stream. But within that revenue stream, where are you making money? And where are your profit centers? So that's what you have to pay attention to. So, Garrison.
I'm not up at 12 a.m.
No, right? Good
No.
for you.
No.
So it's not easy to move a big ship. When you're doing 10 million and now you go through the pandemic and you realize that, oh, whoa, I gotta, move and I gotta ramp up the residential thing. That takes vision. So talk to us about that moment where you're like, am I gonna start to hire a lot more designers? Like, what is this a thing? Because I know that feeling, right? So talk to us a little bit about what it's like when you see we're probably busier in residential, but if I start to hire people now, is it really gonna happen?
Right. Well, I think it's really having that ability to project our business and to understand. People talk about a pipeline, but is it a pipe dream or is it a pipeline? Right? And I think that's the big piece of it is for us, and something I really enjoy and I've had to learn to love is to project out. And as I go out and I do the first client meeting, and I understand what the scope is. I understand the projection and the construction documents. And that is what my forecast is based on, is trying to figure out the labor that's needed for the set fee. And so then I kind of back that in and I can project out usually 2 quarters in advance. And so a lot of that was, I know that the client interfacing is so important in residential. It's got to be consistent. I can't just like have, a designer who does bars and restaurants meet with a client and then in 2 months pick up another shitty bar and like pull them out. Yeah. Because they're not going to understand, right? So it's really thinking about my labor. And that's a lot of times I think hard as business owners because we have to categorize people. Yeah. And we, is it manpower, is it labor, whatever it is, and it's really trying to then slot people. Yeah. My payroll was $2.8 million a year.
Holy crap.
So the stresses were there and they were real, and those projections are really important. And I think that we didn't forecast. So what I did is I was able to figure out who has the expertise, right? So who is it that could be the production? And I have a very unique system where we're very compartmentalized in the work that we do. And so there's Revit specialists, there's BIM specialists. All of those people are supporting other designers. There's 3 levels of designers within the firm. And so I then do all the conceptual, all the design concepts for every project. It's then passed down to a senior, then passed down to a leader, and then passed down to design assistants.
Wow.
We have found that as long as we keep intact the people who understand the deliverable of what is the construction documents, what does our CA look like, all of those things, anyone can support us if we guide them.
So you know what I'm hearing? I'm going to let you chime in for a second, but you know what I'm hearing? Is he's talking about seats, not people. That's huge. Talking about seats and not people, because on our way up as we grow our business, we get very involved in the person sitting in that seat. And when that person isn't doing a great job, we're like, oh, but she's been with me for 10 years and she's amazing and she's great. And I just keep trying to fit a round peg into a square hole. But he's analyzing seats. He's still a human, still cares about the people whose faces are in those seats. Yeah. But that's that next level of management, of ownership, of entrepreneurship, right?
Right, I think it's, I still want when the staff and their +1 come to our home, my husband's an amazing cook. When they come over, I want the spouses and the +1s to like me.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's having those true conversations, and that comes about ownership and accountability.
Okay.
And that's all we're talking about as being a human.
Love it,
right?
Love it. Marinette, you wanted to add something here?
I just wanted to chime in and just mentioning you might have that dream and that vision as well, but then in an environment with so much labor shortages, it's so amazing to see a lot of businesses do tell us that they are actually upskilling their existing labor force.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so hard to go and find that one person that you are envisioning to join your team, but then actually investing in your existing team and allowing them to develop in the role is such an amazing thing to see.
Well, and I think that's the growth, right? Because we find that when you're so compartmentalized in what a person does, that really confines some people. I think after the 3rd year in the business, we find that the staff member, the designer, the assistant, whatever they are, they love what they do. The first 3 years, they don't know. And then they feel trapped, right? So we have to kind of like, we invest in them. We always talk about adding to your toolbox. This is your toolbox. If it doesn't work at Studio Garrison, you need to move on. That's okay.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But we do have to talk about like what your skill sets are. And when plan A doesn't work, it becomes plan B, and plan B all of a sudden is plan A.
Right, 100%.
That's the hardest thing for people to understand in business is plan B becomes A.
That's right. You have to be flexible. So, Jim, tell me about when your family started to realize that, hey, the profit center, the business is the furniture thing, and it started not to be. Was that scary? Was that a conversation? Did it just happen by osmosis and everybody just got over it? Like,
yeah, my dad still doesn't really understand why I do what I do. And he's like, he would rather sell a lamp than me spend hours doing drawings and conceptualizing something that isn't like a tangible item that we buy for $1 and sell it for $2. Like it's, so I've been struggling with this whole evolution, but I think what's proven over time is that it's the luxury clients that are driving the business, and they are the ones that are not unemployed and laid off and still hiring a luxury consultant, which is what we all basically are. You know, we're in the business of want, not need. Nobody needs us, but most people want us. So, you know, that luxury designation is what has kept us going, and as a result, we have increased the quality and the price points of the lines that we bring into our showroom to support that, and really trying not to compete with the, you know, middle and DIY population of the design business.
Right.
So yeah, it ebbs and flows. Obviously, we'll have a day where one person will walk in our showroom, and it's like, I'm really glad we paid the electrical bill to have the lights turned on today, and all of my employees here. And then we'll have the next day where all these people are coming in, and they're all building homes and doing these amazing projects, and it's like, wow, I'm really glad we do have this inventory and overhead and sales support that people can see that we can handle this project, that we're a valid business that has been here for over 40 years. We're not gonna, you know, shut down tomorrow.
Right.
And so that really helps gain us those kind of clients that are kind of in between and not really sure. But it's never an exact science, and it changes all the time.
Right.
I mean, we make great money off of our design fees as well, and I always look at that as the free and clear. You know, I don't have to turn around and pay an invoice for my thoughts.
You have to drive it on a truck somewhere.
Yes, exactly. So the profit margins there are, you know, 100% towards our company, whereas with the retail sales, that's not the case whatsoever. So, you know, it's really fortunate that we've had both, because I don't think one or the other would give us the lifestyle that we're all hoping to have.
Especially 4 of you on the owner payroll. It's a little different. Okay, so I want to leave you guys times for questions. We have time. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about is we talked that each of us here, our businesses did less in 23 than 22. For the bigger businesses, significantly less, right? Window Works was $1 million down, right? So on 4 million to 3 million, that felt like a heart attack.
Yes,
okay, so the same as 10 to 6, all right? And the same with your business. So, but Marne is saying things are getting better. She has a little graph that was going on the up. And so we're all like, sweetie, come with us, right? Because we're just gonna like hang on to that little thing pointing up. So give me 2 seconds on Q4. You're sliding into the last of the year. You can see that we are not going to pull this out, folks. We are not going to pull this out. We are going to be lower than last year. And how did it feel? What did you do? And where is your head at for now?
We don't stop.
Okay.
Right? We don't stop. I think that as a leader, if we're considered a for-profit business, it's our responsibility to provide for our employees and their families. And so I had to be creative. And so, you know, there's nothing like when you're in a slump to reinvent yourself. So I rebranded. We changed our name. We changed our vision, who we are.
Wow.
We tried to become a more contemporary, almost senior citizen. You know, like I'm, you know, almost twice as old as anyone else at the firm. But no, I think that it's really important that, you know, for me, I had to provide that vision. And I look back at something that when I started to scale, you know, we're from a very small market. The Portland area, you know, there's only 600,000 people in Portland, Oregon.
Wow.
In the greater area, it may be 1 million or so, I don't know, but it's a very small market. And so what I created was I just took, you know, the flight maps, a 2-hour flight. Where could we go? Send the family, you know, an employee so they could go have a meeting, fly home, tuck their kids in bed, and be at work the next day. And so now we've done that again. I expanded it to 2.5-hour flights. And so now we've really expanded our business down into the desert. So in Southern California, we're in Palm Desert now. Projects are coming on board. I've been doing a lot of outreach. You know, you got to network. You got to get out there. You got to sell the juice. You got to make it rain.
Yeah,
and I think that's my responsibility.
Yes.
There's no designer that's ever signed up to be a commissioned salesperson.
Right. I love that. I love that. Like, you know, literally, it's so funny because at WindowWorks, we did something similar, except that we're not getting on planes for window treatments. I mean, we do. If you have a great project, we'll come, by the way. But it's not the thing. But you know what's interesting is we took the map, just like you did, and did a 25-minute radius around the showroom. And we were like, we are going to own this area. Like, let's just go back and own this area. Like, let's just dig it out of what's right here. Yeah. So I love that, like, you know, as a design firm owner, you're like, okay, but to the point of being respectful and trying to have a great team that has a life, you're like, where can they fly to, get on a plane, and still put their kids to bed? That's super awesome. I love that.
It's working.
Yeah.
Thank God.
That's great.
It is. We are seeing, though, that the types of projects, and also I think there's a reality. The one thing I didn't really hear you talk about, I don't know if you have the numbers, but we were seeing in our market a really lovely, nice home. In 2016 was maybe $450 a square foot to build. We saw that creep up to $550. We saw, like, we were telling people $650, $700 a square foot to build, probably in 2019, 2020. We're now seeing that it's $1,100 to $1,200 a square foot.
Yes.
So what we saw, though, is that the increase in that number is incredible. I haven't done a price increase in my fees in 7 years.
Oh, you need to do
my
that,
employees, their salaries have increased 135%. Yeah. So what we did is we realigned our deliverables. We pulled back on what our deliverables were.
Oh, good.
We pulled back on how many meetings we had, right? And so there's a way that you cut into the time that we're spending, and we were, you know, trying to like really figure out the employees we have here today, why can't we take on more jobs, but let's reduce our output. And now we're focused on outcome, not output.
Yeah. Well, I love that. That's like my husband, Nigara, he always says, sometimes it isn't what you make, it's what you don't spend.
Yes.
Right? And so that's the perfect example of that. It's like maybe you might feel like maybe there's a little resistance to raising the fees, but you can lower the deliverables so you can get more juice out of that job, right? And so that's what I want you guys to be thinking about as you're sitting here. So WindowWorks makes, you know, a thing in a circle 25 minutes around. He does 2.5 hours around. What are the things that you can do in your business to bring more income in, right? So tell us about that Q4. We're like seeing the writing on the wall. It's definitely not going to be pretty. You know, is the sky falling? What's happening? And what did you do to adjust? And what are you thinking about 24?
Well, my son's the only one that got Christmas presents this year.
Oh, well, see, there you go. That's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stressful way to end the year. You're supposed to be happy and cheery and ready to go take a vacation. Instead, you're stressing about, all right, we got to do something. We got to make a change. Fortunately, what we've been seeing is that all of our clients are kind of doing the same thing, where they're like, oh, we'll be ready to go the first of the year. Like, everybody loves to use that as like, okay, fresh start. Now we'll do the project. So now we're in a backlog, and I am working myself into the ground, hence losing my voice, because I am trying to do it all in a shorter period of time to make up from what we weren't doing those last few months. Mm-hmm. So it's been a ride for sure. It's been a lot of margaritas in our house.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, it's the truth, right? It's scary.
Yeah.
Oh, it's,
you know,
yes.
It's scary, and it really it's scary if you're doing $300,000 a year, or you're doing $3 million or $15 million, because it's a significant difference, and you've gotten used to it. and you're spending at that level and all of those things, right? And then, but you do like no Christmas presents. We canceled the Christmas party. I'm just like, it's fiscally irresponsible for us to go and spend money on a party when we were $1 million down in revenue. Like, it's insanity. That's the hard truth of it, right?
Yes.
So you wanted to add something,
Marinae?
Marinae?
I was just gonna say it's just incredible to hear Garrison and Gina talk because I feel like they're bringing so much color into my research because I'm so close to the data, I see it, but I really don't know how they felt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So now I get all the emotions as well as the data, but just like back to Garrison's point is absolutely revenue growth was negative. This is the worst I've seen since I'm doing my research for over a decade. Labor costs. The Fed had posted their labor wages and the labor costs and all of that with the construction, and then everyone else was just flat, and then construction industry was just growing up and up and up. And then we do understand that you had to put that amount on your payroll as well. And just going forward.
So now you know, we're the faces of those data points. When you see it go like this, picture all of us in a puddle of mud going, are you kidding me? Like, what is happening right now, okay?
It's incredible.
All right, but we have to be proactive, right? We can't just sit there because otherwise we will be by the wayside. All right, who's got questions for these brainiacs here? Anybody? It always takes a minute. They always stare at us for like 5 minutes before somebody raises their hand. Give them, there it is, see? Takes a minute, go ahead. Gina, what are your annual sales?
Well, like Garrison said, it depends on the year. It could be 3 million, it could be 5 million. The pandemic years were fun, that was for sure. And then all of a sudden this severe drop last year. But yeah.
So what was 22 and what was 23?
22 was like 4.7 and I haven't looked at 23 because I'm trying to be positive.
You're
you don't want to.
I'm trying to make up for it still.
Yeah, if you were 4.7, you probably were 3.8, something like that is my guess. That's what I'm seeing across.
You're stressing me out again.
Yeah, well, you know, hey, it is called the hard truth, G. Okay, who else has a question for these guys?
Garrison, what were some of the things you cut back on from a client deliverable perspective? Could you be more specific on some of those details?
Yes, for us, for the phases that we have in our set fees, I've always set the milestones to be 4 presentations. And so what we did is we immediately cut that down to 3. And so that's a lot of time that's building the models and presentations. And then I separate, again, we have specialized teams. So furnishings and soft goods, there are 3 team members that only touch those items. So people who do drawings, fireplaces, and all that, they don't ever pick fabrics or furniture. And for those, I actually went from 4 presentations to 2. So we saw a huge increase in profit in that sector. And then we offloaded, I used to have a warehouse, and so we did a third party with our receiving in our local region.
Love it. And here's what you didn't do. Last year's clients got 4 presentations, you are only getting 2, right? Yeah. It's just like, it's what the new, right? It's the new thing, right? And you're able to do it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, because we refined and I kind of bought in also to renderings, and you know, there's a place for AI right now in our firm. I'm okay with it. We're having big discussions about it. And so in the first phase, we do probably 8 to 10 new custom builds a year, those designs of the homes and the buildings. And so we're actually using AI now to do a lot of the phase for us. And so that can be done in about 3 hours instead of 2 or 3 weeks.
Love it. You know, Jenna is here in the audience. She's got a 2 o'clock panel with Morgan Molitor and who else on the panel about AI. So, you know, definitely come back for that, okay? All right, question.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
So I'm in the kitchen and bath world. I have a 2-part question for the panel. The first part is how much of your business is online? I mean, have you diversified? Because I'm struggling. I have a large brick and mortar. So that's question part A. And then part B is I keep hearing about your retainers or as clients will, the payment schedule. Is that retainer or design fee? Like, Because right now I collect a retainer and then applying to the end project, which keeps cash flow. So I'm just kind of curious, are you both in the, is it design time and you keep that versus retainer, and then are you investing in e-commerce?
Okay, so let me clarify. I think I want to clarify the question, make sure we're right.
Yes.
So you're talking about Gina, how she's been saying the design fees, like she didn't have to put inventory against it, right? So that, go ahead.
Okay. So I also charge a retainer up front, but then I ask for, depending on the lifespan of the project, I'll have installments along the way to help with cash flow and try to make it match the workloads as well. When it's the sale of a product in our showroom, you know, we get 50% up front, but I have been telling people, you know, if you're not ready for installation or we've got a couple of things that are going to extend the lead time, I need you to pay that balance. I'm not a bank. I still have to pay for this merchandise. So it's a completely different scenario when it's, you know, a product that I'm receiving and handling versus the time and the ideas that I'm spending. In terms of online, I get a lot of clients now through social media avenues. I kind of use my social media as my more honest portfolio where you can get a sense of my personality and decide if you like me before you even have to talk to me. But other than that, like, I don't feel like I'm competing with, you know, the online design
You're not
services.
generating income
because
online,
again,
like you're not selling something.
The luxury clients need that relationship. They don't have the time to spend trying to get the cheapest service out there. So I think identifying with which of those two kind of clients you're after is a big part of your question, because you can't make both happy. You got to do one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just basically asking, are you diversifying to do product sales online? And I don't think either one of you are.
No, but I would say I'm a lot pickier about the projects I take. My goal is to take a larger, higher budget project versus 5 smaller ones, because having 5 clients calling me versus 1 takes up a lot more time. And let's be honest, time is the one thing that we can't get back.
Right.
You get your money back, you can make it up somewhere else, but the time that you spend on your work away from your family, that is the most valuable thing to me anymore. I mean, I'm a mom, my son's 9. If I'm going to spend my time on you, let's make this a great relationship. Let's make sure that you're somebody who appreciates what we do. You know, it really, it can suck the life out of you very quickly, and I think we've all been in that scenario, and unfortunately sometimes you get a few of them at a time, and then I threaten to go move into a forest and only talk to animals for the rest of my life.
And you can text on the weekends, but it better be a naughty joke.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear about you went shopping with your sister-in-law for tile, right?
Right.
Like, it's respect.
Right,
exactly.
But I think too, for retain, I don't believe in holding monies. Just for my firm, we don't hold retainers. Again, though, because everything is projected out. A minute someone signs on, I know the next 3 months what it takes to get through the presentations and the drawings. And so there's a schedule that I have, and that's what bases our cash flow. And so we're a percentage to completion, and that bill goes out based on milestones that are met.
Okay, any more questions here?
Hello, I was just curious how you guys measure, going back to what you guys were talking about, like people in the seats, how do you guys measure sales reps or designers, setting goals for them, making sure that they're staying on top of those things? Do you look at certain KPIs, or I guess when can you decide, hey, you know, this person isn't working out, or hey, this person's doing a great job, maybe we should bump them to another role?
Thoughts?
For us, it's a matrix that we follow. So there's 4 different levels of team members that we have based on your administrative or leadership role that you have. So a senior designer in our firm, their matrix, they must meet a 5-hour billable per day. The next person down is 6 hours per day. The entry-level person, their first 3 years, they must bill 7 hours a day. That matrix is reevaluated. We have dedicated Mondays and Tuesdays are my day, and so there's no client meetings. And so any flat surface in my studio is where I walk through and we look at every material and project, and at the same time they have to tell me about their matrix. We find that when they beg for work, There's no one like, I don't have anything to do. That has not happened in my firm. And I think that it's just having, again, they have the ownership and the accountability for them that's, you know, so we know. And I can then also project out based on vacations, when we have holiday closing, you know, we know our revenue and when it's gonna come.
That's awesome. How about you?
I have a totally different setup. Like, I don't have huge teams and tiers of people that do certain things. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Swing your necklace.
We look for people who can cover many roles. We want people to be diverse. It keeps them from being bored, first of all. So really, we don't have like the structured form of measurement like you have per se, but it is.
Are you saying I'm a control freak? What, like?
No, I'm impressed, and I think I need to talk to you after this.
I picked the word seat right now.
I mean, everybody, that's the thing about our business. We all do it differently. And like my team is 9 people. That includes the 4 partners. That includes my warehouse staff, my sales staff, and my bookkeeper. So I don't have a ton of people that I am measuring what they're doing every day and billing out hourly. Instead, it's how busy are they staying and how productive are they being. And I always try to encourage my employees to, if you find an area of our business where we're slacking, figure out how to fix it and come up with a system that you like and then present it to us, because I want my people to feel like they're valued and they're growing in their own personal career, and that allows them to really highlight what they're best at for us. And sometimes it's not what we hired them to do, but it ends up being the greatest thing ever for our company. Yeah. So again, our whole history of our company has been an experiment in flexibility.
Yeah, and I would just say, having kind of, you know, lived through what you're in now. You know, we started WindowWorks in 1981 or something, the same thing. And to hear that it's 9 people and 4 are owners. So you have 4 people running around working their butts off intentionally. You know, and the warehouse guy, he's got a set job to do. The truck guy's got a set job to do. It's not there's not a lot of gray area at this level of your structure, where you have a lot of people with a lot of gray area unless they are dialed in. And I would just say to you, it starts with the job description. So you have to have very, very, very clear, finite job descriptions, and those job descriptions should have a deliverable on it. A salesperson, so his designers have X amount of billable hours. Salespeople should have, you know, quarterly goals, yearly goals. And when you sit down and you evaluate, are they doing a good job or not? It's like, here's your job description, dude. Are you doing these things? Guess what? I didn't see you do any of these things. There's 4 things you didn't do. Or here was your quarterly goal and you've not met it. And then it's the opportunity for what's happening. Do you need help? Do you need training? Do you need to be to invest in you? And what can we do? And when you do that quarterly, you don't wake up in December with 4 people on your team that didn't meet their goals. He's making sure every Monday they've all hit their billable hours. It's not waiting until the 30th to be like, holy crow, we're off by 40 billable hours times $200.
My director
that's
of finance would
huge.
kill me.
Yeah. So it starts with a finite job description and then really working through it from there. Any other questions? We have 10 minutes, I think. Woo. So, I mean, we could keep talking, I'm sure. So.
Look at her run, getting those steps in.
How you doing? I had a question. You say you do outreach 2.5 hours or 2 hours. Do you just, are you cold calling people, or do you know who you're going after? Like, not to delve into your business, but just a little bit more information as to how you send your staff out to people outside of your territory.
Well, I'm 88 today. No, yeah. I lead a really boring life, but thank you for that question. I struggle with one-on-one cold call or whatever it is. So typically, a lot of it is built on having a connection. I just need one. It's really strange. I was at a dinner last night, and my business is mostly referral or word of mouth. We don't get a lot of new calls. I don't understand it. Social media is, if you've seen my social media, it's kind of a joke because it's just me. I take a weekend every holiday, and I do like 3 or 4 months at a time, and it just posts. But I do try to get out. I think you make that connection. What I have found I don't think they're here. They're at another lighting conference right now. But I kind of hit up the Hy-Vee, the audio guys, and anyone that is really into lighting control and stereo systems. I find that in most areas, they only go to the Primo homes. And so that is usually my first connection. Is that weird to share this? Like,
no, that's interesting. I'm like, that's a great idea.
And so they're usually also looking for someone, and I will roll out my documentation and show them a CD set, and that's all it takes. They will then usually introduce me to a couple builders. That's kind of how I do it. But I'm also a schmuck, like, you know, like.
Can I also just say something really quickly back to your point about repeat clients and then referrals?
Yeah.
Just to kind of give a perspective, our research shows that 70% of businesses come from referrals and repeat clients. So like having a happy customer as well as reaching out to your base is
isn't that a crazy
important.
number?
It is a crazy number to me, but
it's real.
What I'm hearing, yes, that it is real. And I do hear people talk about how they try to constantly make their consumer base and their homeowners feel good about their projects, you know, appreciate what they've done, so on and so forth. So it's an incredible journey to see, but then also
they clean their cars, or what do they do? Like,
well, that part I don't know, but I'll ask in my next survey.
Okay, good.
And the thing is, though, is not to, what's the word I want? Not to take for granted that consumer base that is your existing customers, clients over the years, and your referrals. I'm going to tell you, having been in business 4 decades, I have had the person where I've walked into the ShopRite and I'm like, oh my God, how you been? I haven't seen you in 10 years. And like, what are you doing? Oh, we downsized and now we live in these townhouses. And I'm like, I didn't do those new window treatments. Like, and I know, my daughter's friend's mother, but the thing is, if we had done a better job always of staying top of mind in their email, in their snail mail, having whatever, sending them Valentine's cookies, then it would have been a lot harder for that average person to just say, I'll go with my daughter's friend's sister's brother this time instead of LuAnn, who did my house the last 3 times. So it is your gold mine. Your referral base, your existing clients is your gold. And the thing is, you keep them in by being a human to them and creating the relationship with them. And you also want to sell more things to the same people because they already know, like, and trust you. So roll out another service to those people, right?
When we talked about technology, AI and everything, and software there is out there to actually help you do that. And depending on how you're using the AI tools or the software tools, they are there for you to actually manage that base. Because every time I see that 70% number and it's not going anywhere, I think to myself, how are they reaching out and why are these people coming back? But it's because people keep renovating, people keep upgrading their living spaces, and then also referring. Because once you love a professional, you stay with them. It's so hard. I've remodeled with my husband. It was a tricky relationship to keep afloat, but then if you love someone, do the job in your home, then you stay with them, and that's what our research shows for sure.
There's another figure in the home decor industry, which is that 65% of the people that you present to and don't close will buy that next year.
Yeah.
But
not
necessarily from you.
Exactly.
If you don't keep coming back. And saying, hey, by the way, you said no. Now, the thing is, if you've walked away because it's not a right fit, that what their project is doesn't align with what you do, different story. We don't worry about that.
Yes.
But the ones that you like and you want and they don't say yes, in the next year, they're going to do that project with somebody. And it will be you if you keep front of mind.
Yeah, and I think I was going to say that a lot of it is, I think, as we are out there, looking for more jobs, it's just to also own what you know. And I think even in the beginning, like, I did a lot of weird things. Like, I went to the local paint store and I did color consults for people and I met people. Like, you just...
Think about this, $10 million company, and he's telling you that he started by doing color consults at the paint store. Like, legit, in the beginning, you grind it out, right?
Well, one of the things that we started doing as well is researching new home sales in targeted neighborhoods that have the demographics that typically lead to our bigger projects.
Yeah.
And my marketing department, AKA my husband, he's like the detective.
How's his review going?
He doesn't have a metric.
It's a game to him to figure out, all right, what are the new home sales in a certain price point? And then he puts together a really attractive letter in a colorful envelope so it just doesn't look like junk mail.
Yes.
And we actually have been hand delivering them to people's doorsteps. Wow. And then we gave our crew incentive that if one of those actually turns into a new project or a new sale, that they get a bonus too, to make sure they're actually delivering the envelope. Because you can't actually put it in the mailbox unless there's a stamp on it,
right?
Like, a whole thing.
Right.
So we've been trying to be more specific about the neighborhoods that are so close to us that, like, why aren't we getting more projects there? Why do I constantly have to go 4 hours away to do a project when it would be so much easier? Like all these multi-million-dollar condo properties in downtown Denver, like that's huge, and they're right next to each other. So you can sniper drop off envelopes to them. We also have incentives for realtors because we have found that they're one of the very last people to deal with the clients before they ask for us. So we have been trying to develop relationships with them and explain to them that, hey, if one of your referrals turns into a project, then you get a bonus from us. So I think networking is one of the most important things that you can do with your local design community. I mean, not to like make this a forced thing here, but obviously NKBA, I'm on the board for IDS. When you've got any extra time to really sit down and talk with professionals that are also working with the same clients that you are, that's another whole source of new potential clients, because the AV guy needs to refer a client for a designer, and somebody walked into the stone showroom but they didn't have one yet. Like, just building relationships, it may take several years for it to become mutually beneficial, but you need to start making that time for people now if you ever want to have that support when times are tough. Because we're not all going through it at the same time necessarily. Right. I might be extremely busy, and then some of my great design friends are struggling right now. So then it's like, okay, great. Well, I just got a couple inquiries that really aren't ideally what I'm looking for, so I'm going to send them to you. Because I know you and I like you and I know you're going to do a good job.
That's what I love about when you join IDS or ASID or whatever is, there's always the job that's too big or different or whatever for you, and the one that's not right over here. And to be able to refer up and down among your colleagues is, I remember I interviewed somebody, her name was Julie or Julia, I can't remember her last name, I could see her face, long brown hair.
That's where my shoe budget comes from.
Okay, but
every referral I get a shoe gift card.
Yeah, well, and this girl, Julie, gets Shay McGee's cast-offs. So when the job isn't right for Shay, Julie gets them. Like, somebody's got to get them, right? So, you don't want to do pain consults anymore, but you may know somebody that's starting out that will, and all the things. So, okay, I think they're probably going to get a cane pretty soon. It's 6 minutes of one. Okay, anybody else have a question before we go?
How did you structure your incentives to the realtors? Is it a percentage, a dollar amount?
No, it's a dollar amount. Sorry, every time I look this. I don't want to have to keep track of every time somebody buys something because of one referral, and then you get into like murky waters there. But what we do, so we've got a few different services that we offer. So depending on which one they sign up for, that dictates the amount that we give to the realtors. $500 goes a long way as a referral. It doesn't have to be $1 million, especially if they've got clients constantly and they're making that money. And then a lot of times I found that the realtors have turned around and used that as like the welcome home thank you gift, and like, oh, now you can go spend it in DeMaury Interior showroom, which win-win-win. So yeah, keep it simple and easy to keep track of, because the worst thing you could do is tell somebody you're going to do that and then you don't follow through, and then you look like the jerk.
100%, 100%. Go ahead.
So you were, our firm is structured similar to yours with the billable hours. And you were explaining how you have different tiers and different expectations for each one of the tiers. Do you get pushback from your team on being able to reach those tiers? And how does it not become so technical and more creative? You know, because we tend to get pushback. Well, it's hard when we're measuring our time all the time to stay creative because we have this amount of time to spend on things. And
it's hard to get up in the morning. It's hard to say I don't want a third Negroni.
I don't want an adult today at work, please. Can I just not?
No, I think, again, I would think if a person's doing the role that they're great at, right? It's the experience and expectations of that person. If they're, if you find out that you're trying to put a mood board together and they're spending 5 hours on Pinterest, wrong job, right? I think it's also just for you to, I would say for me, I know what everyone does and I can jump in. I also will go camp myself out in the pit. Like if they really want to be annoyed, I'll bring my laptop out and work next to them that day. And then they'll see how it really is annoying, right? Because I talk too much, and then let's go get lunch. But I think it's really talking about, we want them to express themselves. Also that there are people, and I think it's okay to have these talks. There are individuals in our firm that will not actually have a creative concept. It will never make it to the client. Yeah. There's a certain level of person that you guide the concept. We have the design pillars, and there are other people that will only be production. And I think that's the real conversation about if you're yearning for something else, we don't have training wheels at our firm. That's the bad part. Yeah. So we will lose great individuals that need to go somewhere else to apply their skills. Yeah.
And be clear, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing at the people that show up and do that, right? And the thing.
And myself.
Yeah. No, and the thing is, it comes back to the job description, though. Yeah. Like when you hire from a clear job description, and it has, at this role, you will do 7 a day, you will do 6 a day. There's no debate. It's like you're baking a cake. It takes this amount of flour, this amount of eggs. You didn't put enough eggs in. This is not a good day. Didn't happen today. What are you doing? Right? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it may be tough conversations right now for you, but I think that those are important, and they will also respect you more.
Yeah.
When you can have the conversation and say, you know what? You're not good at that. I'm not either, but we need to give it to someone that is.
Yeah. You can reframe it. You got to reframe the culture. It's not easy, by the way. You want to talk about a hard truth. That's not easy, to reframe a culture where, people aren't in line with your vision. But that's why it's important to set your vision ahead of time and hire based on it. Marie, you have a question?
Time to do the project and the construction, and the client says, no, I cannot afford for that amount of money, but I gave you already the budget 1 and 2. Why you didn't say that time? Right. And then when you sign the contract, you didn't want to do you release all the drawings, everything for that client that did not sign the contract to build with you guys?
Well, I believe that budgets have nothing to do with constructability. We have very frank conversations up front. You can have a budget, but the budget isn't really what things cost. A budget is someone's budget when they are able to tell us they're willing to release, but it truly has nothing to do with what the bid is going to turn out to be. We know that without our complete documentation, you can't really get a bid. And we want to eliminate assumptions, we want to eliminate allowances, and I think by that means we need to collect your entire design fee and we need to complete the documentation. So we don't take partial projects. There's a lot of tough conversations that happen, and projects do go on pause. A pause is different, and we actually will just try and wrap it up, and we'll put it in our archives, and we'll come back to it later when they want to. Usually it's a conversation at home over a weekend that they need to figure out if their budget isn't in line with what it's going to cost to do the project.
Okay, all righty. Well, this was outstanding. You guys are something else. I appreciate all three of you. I love it. And thank you guys for showing up to do this with us, all right? All righty, we did it.